The first stations of the London Underground are on the early Metropolitan and District lines, such as Paddington and Baker Street. These were mainly designed by John Fowler. These stations were designed originally with window/glazed roofs, yellow bricks and arched platforms which encouraged users to take the Underground. This style of architecture ranged from 1860s to the 1900s. In the 1900s, the style of architecture changed to Leslie Green's oxblood tiled styles. This style was used on 40 stations on the present Piccadilly line, the Piccadilly line being built in 1906. This is arguably the most recognisable style of architecture on the London Underground and is used excessively in tube propaganda and promotion. The next style in the London Underground was the Metroland style of architecture in the 1920s to the 1930s, the intermediate period between the World Wars. Many architects were involved in the Metroland design, such as Stanley Heaps and Charles Holden being the most famous. This style made the stations futuristic, but yet they blended into the surrounding suburbia. This style, I would characterise it as having a weird mix of a Victorian character and quality, but being built somewhat cheaply due to its nature, e.g. being in the suburbs and having relatively fewer passengers compared to central London stations. This style of architecture is what most of the tube stations look like, and it influenced the surrounding buildings in the suburbs. This style has luckily aged well compared to Harlow or Milton's Keynes, which have a brutalist and 60s design to them. Luckily, London suburbs weren't built in the 60s and have aged well and are considered beautiful to this day. The next style is the Victorian line, which was built on the cheap due to its limited scope of stations, due to the number of connections each new station had, leading to a focus being more on platform design with little architecture being built above ground. Focus on this line also shifted towards its automatic driving of the stock on this route, meaning architecture played less of a role in the development of this tube line compared to previous tube lines. In the 1980s, the Jubilee line was built, and this can arguably be said to be the most brutalistic style of any London Underground line. A good example of this is Westminster, and if anyone has used it, they will know it as capacious, but they will also know it as an ugly, brutalist mess. The Jubilee line also allowed for the tube to be propelled forward into the 21st century contemporary style of architecture, and a key example of this is the exterior of Canary Wharf Station.